All right, so let's start with the big story that we are tracking on WION at this hour. The Ukrainian forces at this moment of time, according to reports that have come in, are said to be clinging to the eastern city of Bakhmut. They're digging new trenches. However, the Russians seem to be closing in and are almost on the verge of capturing the city. The situation for the Ukrainian forces in Bakhmut now seems almost untenable. This has been what has been reported by the commanders on the ground as well. The assault potentially could be nearing its end. The Russian forces have been attacking Bakhmut in the Donetsk province for several months now, sometimes in wave after wave. Russia has been putting intense pressure since August-September last year on this crucial, tactically important city. The site has in fact become one of the bloodiest battlegrounds of the war. It has been described as a bit of a meat grinder for the soldiers there. According to the Ukrainian forces, the fighting is going on in Bakhmut round the clock, and the situation is very critical. On Thursday night, the Ukrainian forces managed to repel certain attacks on Bakhmut on two settlements just to the west of the city. The Russian shelling also hit Bakhmut and several nearby towns, including Chasiv Yar, the biggest town to the west, and two towns south of Bakhmut. The Ukraine has said that the city has in fact limited strategic value, but wants to exhaust Russian forces. However, Russia says that taking Bakhmut would be a step towards seizing the rest of the surrounding industrial region that is known as Donbas. All right, now to give us more updates in terms of what exactly is unfolding in the battlefields of Ukraine at this point of time, and especially in the context of Bakhmut, we're being joined by Ksenia Kondratьeva, who's a journalist who's joining us live from St. Petersburg in Russia. Now, Ms. Kondratьeva, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us here in WION. And the question that I want to ask you is this. According to reports that are now doing the rounds, it appears that Russia is closing in on the city of Bakhmut. The question that I want to ask you is, why is Bakhmut so important for Russia?
Thanks for having me, first of all. Yes, Bakhmut is, Russian army has been fighting for it since summer. It's an important, in terms of its geography, in terms of the roads that are coming through the city, and the supplies of the Ukrainian army can be cut off if provided that Russia takes on, the city. There have been talks, including within the Ukrainian leadership and the Western allies of Ukraine, how important Bakhmut is. In summary, it was very important when Russia was stepping in, sort of, and started to encircle the city. Of course, it's what they say, it's a tactical encirclement as of now. There are conflicting reports coming from there, so I would refrain from, comments what exactly is happening. I think we know too less what's actually happening on the ground. But when Russia army was coming in, suddenly the Ukrainian leadership, the military, and the Western allies, the US commanders started saying that Bakhmut is not that strategically important. So you see those assessments of how important it is are varying. But of course, the Russian, we can see that Russian army is moving ahead. So if the goal is to take more territories, then of course each and every city, and that's a city of around 70,000 people, so that's not a small village, right? That's a city, and a lot of reinforcements have been there. We would expect that a lot of strength of the Ukrainian army is sort of concentrated there. So of course, it's a military-wise, it's a strategic.
Absolutely indeed, Ms. Kondratьeva. It is said that this city had a population of about 70,000, but according to estimates now, only about 5,000 people, we're given to understand, still reside in Bakhmut. Yes. Now, I would also want to ask you this, because in the last 4-5 months, all through the winter, very little territory has in fact exchanged hands between Russia and Ukraine. The battle lines virtually have remained frozen. Do you think that the two sides would want to persist with this kind of warfare, or do you think there's a possibility of negotiation sometime soon?
See, first of all, it depends what you see as frozen, battles, because we have seen not just Bakhmut, we have seen other areas of the front where fights are happening, whether these are positional fights or more or less little advances here and there. Both sides are losing people. That's like very important. Ukrainian side has losses, Russian side has losses. Let's not talk about the numbers because again, we are getting very conflicting reports on that. But what we expected as watchers, that there would be sort of a positional fight like it was happening in Donbass across the line. For the last 8 years before the start of a full-scale invasion in February last year. But I think what we have seen now throughout this winter is about, like, we are in March, so it's beginning of spring. The battles, the range of the battles has not really subsided as we expected. Right. Now, if you're asking, what's next? I think it all depends on the scale of, of the supplies that Ukraine gets, because you have to understand that despite Ukrainian people are really fighting, and we understand how difficult it is and how is sort of amazing it is, their strength to fight back. But this war is all about the support, the weaponry support and not only weapons, the satellite information and all sorts of other whatever is important in the modern warfare. Because it's not about just artillery systems or even air force.
Absolutely indeed. Now, Ms. Kondrateva, I also need to ask you this, because there's a lot of talk that is going on, especially in the Western part of the world, where the United States has said that it is committed to helping Ukraine to whatever extent that Ukraine wants it to help. So more weapons, Western weapons, will be pumped into the battlefields of Ukraine. How do you think that is likely to play out on Russia?
See, pumping more weapons is one thing. You need people to operate the weapons. So without having right information on the losses of the Ukrainian side, and we see that once this information is, I'm so sorry, comes, from the Ukrainian sources, we see some commanders that are trying to sort of give the real information on the losses. They're being transferred to other areas. That's what happened like overnight, as we hear from the Ukrainian media. Weapons are not just enough. You need people who are trained and who are, capable of fighting.
That, of course, is the crux of the issue, Ms. Kondrateva. Thank you very much indeed for joining us and getting us all those insights there. This, of course, is a developing story, and we will continue to track this on WION. The battle for Bakhmut at this point of time, according to reports, because remember, it's difficult to in fact ascertain as to what in fact is happening on the ground, but it appears that the battle is almost virtually in its last leg. The Russians seem to have a clear advantage that they are pressing forth in Bakhmut. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.